Hey everyone, I'm Dana, and I'm going to make my go-to chocolate chip cookie recipe. This is America's Test Kitchen's classic chocolate chip cookie. It's their Goldilocks style, so it's not too thin, crispy, it's not too soft, it's like just right in the middle, a little bit of both. And it is fantastic, and they're really not that hard to make. So let's do it. What you're going to need is all-purpose flour, baking soda, salt, vanilla, sugar, both brown and white. The brown sugar, it calls for dark, but whatever you have is fine. It's just a slight flavor difference. You're gonna need 14 tablespoons of butter, and you're gonna need a whole egg plus an additional yolk, and obviously some chocolate chips. The recipe also calls for nuts, but I don't have time for that in a chocolate chip cookie. So let's get started. We'll do the dry ingredients first. You're gonna need a cup and 3/4 of the all-purpose flour and a half of a teaspoon of the baking soda. And I've already combined it here. Kind of mix it around just so it's all incorporated. And that's really it until we get the rest of the wet stuff done. So the next thing you wanna do is the magic part of these cookies, which is browned butter. Kind of gives a caramel, nutty flavor to your cookies, and it's kind of like, it's that moment where you eat the cookie and you're like, what is that? So let's go through browning the butter. In a saucepan here, I have 10 tablespoons of butter that is melted, and the remaining 4 tablespoons that we have is in a bowl here, and the browned butter from the saucepan we poured over that will kind of help cool everything down and just melt it. So I wouldn't recommend doing this in a skillet or a pan that has the dark coating, because it's hard to see when your butter is actually turning the color before it's actually burned. So don't put your temperature on too high, kind of just have to mess with it a little bit. You know your stove better than anyone else. And just kind of agitate it around until you finally start to see some colors. Oh, see that? That's really that's exactly what we want. All right, so now turn off the heat, and we're gonna pour this right over. Oh yeah. And you wanna scrape out the pan too, because you're gonna have little bits of the milk fat that's kind of browned a little bit, but you want that. It's all the flavor. Sorry it's a little shaky here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. So now we have our brown butter and the other 4 tablespoons melted into that butter mixture, so we can continue with our wet ingredients. So we need to put our sugars in. We have 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Goes in, and whenever you measure out brown sugar, you want to pack it in, and hopefully not spread everywhere. Then we have 1/3 of a cup of the white sugar. Then we're going to take 1 teaspoon of salt. Does anybody else stress out about pouring out salt? I do. I always feel like it's going to come out in a big heap, and then I'm going to have a salty thing. Although a little extra salt in these, I do like a rounded teaspoon, because I do like to have a little bit of salt in the cookie. It kind of helps with all the chocolate in there. So 1 teaspoon of salt. And then you need 2 teaspoons of our vanilla extract. A little extra doesn't kill it either. Usually in baking you have to be very specific, very precise, but certain things you know you can get away with. All right, so let's whisk this all up together to kind of help cool down the butter, because we're gonna add eggs, and we obviously do not want to cook the eggs. So just stir it around, incorporate it, try and get out any lumps. And definitely before you add your eggs, you're gonna wanna make sure it's cool enough. Use your finger. I mean, it doesn't have to be totally room temperature, but just not hot like the melted butter. Should be fine. Usually moving it around, if you have a bigger bowl, it can help cool it down faster, and if you're whisking it, it definitely brings the temperature down. Okay, so this recipe has a weird thing. They have you add your eggs, whisk for 30 seconds, and then let the thing stand Let the batter stand for about 3 minutes, and then you repeat that 3 times. Don't really know why. Maybe it just adds more air because of the egg and creates more of a lift in the cookie. I'm not sure. Usually America's Test Kitchen will explain why things are done. They didn't explain this, so I don't know. I just do it and it works. And actually you'll notice when you do this, your batter is gonna get a lot lighter. So in go my 1 egg and egg yolk, extra yolk. And I'm gonna whisk this up vigorously for about 30 seconds, just to make sure it's all combined. And then I'm gonna let it sit, and then I'm gonna repeat that 3 times, and then we'll move on. So now that you're done with all of that whisking, you know, arm workout, violinist arms, doesn't even bother me. It won't bother you either if you're a violinist. Anyway, so this is my batter now, and everyone should be, it's a lot thicker, it's actually a lot lighter in color. So now the next step is, after, of course, I'm gonna save this for later, it's for snacking. We are gonna add our dry ingredients. So back to our flour and baking soda. And we're gonna do this in 2 batches, adding it. It's just a better way to incorporate than just dumping it all in at once. It's also less of a mess. Also, is a good time now to preheat your oven to 375 and keep the rack in the middle. I only do 1 tray of cookies at a time. You can do 2, but sometimes that messes with your cooking time, so I just keep it to 1. So now that we're done mixing our dry and our wet ingredients, the last thing we have to add is the best part, the chocolate chips. So this recipe calls for 1.25 cups of chocolate chips. Use whatever you want. I use semi-sweet, that's usually what I have. But whatever tickles your fancy in your chocolate chip cookies. It also calls for 3/4 cup of nuts. And like I stated before, I'm not interested in putting nuts in my cookies. So I figure I'm just gonna put in 2 cups of chocolate chips. This will make them very full of chocolate chips. So if you're not into just mostly chocolate chips in your cookies, then keep it to 1.25 cups or even 1.5 cups. But for me, more is more. Oh yeah. So you're just gonna mix all this up. And then line your cookie sheet with parchment paper and make your cookies as big or as little as you want. You're going to cook them at 375, and it's going to be, depending on the real temperature of your oven and what size cookies you make, it's usually between 10 to 14 minutes. So just watch them after 10. They will start to get brown around the edges, and that's the time to take them out. Okay, so here we are. Lined cookie sheet. We got our cookies ready to go. I form them using just 2 spoons, and I kind of pass them back and forth, making into a ball. Some people like to use an actual like scoop, but I find that this one, I don't even know what size it is. If I were to guess, it's like a 1/4 cup scoop. For me, it's too big for these cookies, so I just eyeball it and I use spoons, and that's about it. So let's pop these into the oven. Yes, it is 10:36 at night, my favorite time to bake. 375, middle rack, and in they go. And we'll let them sit in there between 10 and 14 minutes. Moment of truth. Oh yes, what have we here? Gorgeous. See, they've slightly browned around the edges, and that's exactly what you want. See, they don't spread out too much. They just kind of stay in their spot. And yeah, now just let them cool. That's my go-to chocolate chip cookie from America's Test Kitchen. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you make it at home because you probably have all of these things in your pantry. It's not hard, and I know you will not regret making it. So happy baking, and thanks for watching. Got a little arm workout in there, although violinist don't need it.